Hello and welcome to Week in Review with me, Jane Secker, Kevin Maguire and Andrew Pearce are here to look back at the biggest stories of the last 7 days. I hardly need to ask what the big story is, really.
Donald Trump. Mating.
Yep, the lying, predatory, racist monster heading for the White House.
Well, he's on his way, and that is our top story this week. Donald Trump will be the 45th President of the United States. Polls had Hillary Clinton in front almost all the way, but the billionaire businessman's message won out. Our US correspondent Hannah Thomas-Peter reports from New York, and just a warning, there is some flash photography coming up.
There was an almost surreal quality to Donald Trump's victory. A billionaire businessman turned champion of the working people, sweeping to power, stunning the nation and the world. But having run one of the most controversial and divisive presidential campaigns in modern American history, Trump, in his triumph, struck a unifying tone.
Now it's time for America to bind the wounds of division, have to get together. To all Republicans and Democrats and independents across this nation, I say it is time for us to come together as one united people.
But Trump was propelled to victory in large part by anger and contempt for Washington. He promised the white working class voters who backed him that he would destroy the old order of things, return prosperity, remake the broken American dream.
That says it all. Trump!
In Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania and elsewhere, they are expecting great things.
So we said at the beginning the polls had Hillary out in front, but the polls were very close, weren't they? And it was well within the margin of error. Why were we so surprised that he won?
Yeah, and she did win the popular vote. She lost in the Electoral College, but she won the popular vote. She got more votes than him.
That's not how the American system works.
It is, and turn it round. He would not be accepting the result, but it is that margin of error. It was a very, very tight contest, and they're very difficult to call.
I think we underestimated, or the pollsters underestimated, how loathed Hillary Clinton is. She was an incredibly toxic candidate. The Democrats should have picked somebody else, and they'd have beaten Trump if they had chosen somebody else. And it was interesting to see how many women, white women, voted for Trump, despite the video that came to light, which showed his cavalier and rather predatory approach to women. Women didn't like Hillary Clinton in any great numbers either.
Bernie Sanders might have won it for the Democrats, but of course, America split down race lines here, because she won a majority of people earning under £40,000 a year, but she didn't win as many as they did in the past. She won the black votes, the Hispanic votes, not by the margins they'd won in the past. She won a majority of the women's vote, but not as many as she thought.
He managed brilliantly in a campaign that was at times farcical to portray himself, the billionaire businessman who's gone bankrupt 2 or 3 times, as the outsider who was on the side of the poorer, disadvantaged, often white, not very well educated people. They believed it because he said the establishment has failed. Hillary Clinton was part of the establishment. She'd been Secretary of State, she'd been a governor, her husband was president twice, and that was the key to his success.
A lot of people have compared it to the Brexit effect, Kevin. I mean, do you think that it is a fair assessment, really, that it is about a message to politicians that they're not listening to the little man, in inverted commas, and the
woman,
man as
well.
And
you run as an outsider, even just as if you look at Brexit, they were all sort of well-connected insiders running that campaign. They managed to convince enough people, because in America, as in Britain, a lot of people are doing badly. Their pay's not going up, so it's being cut. The jobs aren't great. Opportunities are closing. Housing, health, education, big issues, big problems around all this. But it's not the right that's been championing these issues all the years. It is on the left. But somehow the right is now capitalising on him by playing a racist migrant card, which he did brilliantly. And the billionaire for the ordinary working man and woman. It's an utter joke, He will not deliver for them.
What about the coverage of it? I mean, this is your paper, this is the Mirror. Let's just hold that one up there. That's the Mirror. What have they done? A picture of the weeping Statue of Liberty. The Sun obviously has the Simpsons front page, which we saw a lot of clips of that. I think we also got one of the Australian newspapers as well. Let's take a look at that one. The Daily Telegraph, the Sydney Daily Telegraph. Are the media reading it all wrong?
I think.
Why is the media so surprised?
When Ronald Reagan won in 1980, the press was just the same in America and around the world. People were contemptuous and dismissive of a third-rate B-list actor who'd been governor of California, and it was supposed to be the worst presidency ever, and he'd be out after one term. He was a two-term president, hugely popular, massively involved in the bringing down of the Berlin Wall and the ending of the Cold War, working hand in hand with Mrs. Thatcher, and the Republicans then won another term after that. He could be the same. I think this sneering, condescending approach to Trump could backfire because he said what he had to say to get in. I don't think he's going to start grabbing women in certain places now he's President of the United States.
He said what he had to say to get in. Come on, he's divided
He's
America.
got in.
He's been
He's
foul
the
to women.
president.
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does matter.
It does not
Of
mean.
course it does.
It does not mean you have to now give him a free card and a free pass and say he's a fantastic guy. No, he's not. The guy's a monster. He's attacked women. He's attacked blacks. He's attacked Hispanics. He's a vile bloke.
Yeah.
He's going to be buried in claims from women for sexual assault.
And the voters of America, who know much more about it than us, decided she was even
Come
worse.
on, how they can be so dumb?
Well, you've already
worse.
touched on that. You've already touched on Hillary Clinton. So where did it all go wrong for her? She made an emotional concession speech and thanked those who'd followed her and supporters and told them not to give up hope.
This is not the outcome we wanted or we worked so hard for, and I'm sorry that we did not win this election for the values we share and the vision we hold for our country. But I feel pride and gratitude for this wonderful campaign that we built together. And to all the little girls who are watching this, never doubt that you are valuable and powerful and deserving of every chance and opportunity in the world to pursue and achieve your own dreams.
We saw a bit of emotion there from her in that, which perhaps you think maybe should have, if she'd perhaps shown a bit more of that during the campaign.
Yeah,
it
maybe,
might
because
have
I think a lot of people
or
think
not?
she was a granite-faced old...
well, you do.
Yeah, well, she's been around for so long, she's been around forever. I noticed that she was wearing purple, which is the colour of the suffragettes, because it was all meant to be about the first woman president breaking that glass ceiling. I just think she'd been around too long. And
she's been around as long as Trump, hasn't she? They're the same age.
But the Clinton star just wasn't shining as brightly.
She did have baggage because she'd been in public life so long. She faced terrible misogyny, and the FBI pulled off an American coup by pretending there was going to be that new inquiry into her when there wasn't. The FBI helped Trump's campaign.
Had they chosen a different candidate, they could have won. Had they pushed Bernie Sanders or had they come up with somebody better?
Yeah, Joe Biden, the vice president, might have. Michelle Obama couldn't run, although she's very, very, very popular. Now, there was a problem with Hillary Clinton because she'd been around. You take a lot of knocks. You have a lot of pluses going for you, but you saw grace there that Trump is absolutely incapable of. And I think we glimpsed what America's lost and missed. She would have been a better president than the lying, racist predator.
What do you think the next 4 years are going to bring?
I think they'll be very interesting. As a journalist, I think they'll be a fantastic story.
That doesn't necessarily mean good.
No, but I think the idea that he's going to become a protectionist and ban trade, and he's going to keep Muslims out of America. There's going to be a wall between Mexico. None of that's going to happen.
So he's going to break all these promises?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Just like all politicians.
Great.
And I think he'll be much more reasonable because Donald Trump has pulled off a miracle, frankly, and he'll want to win the next presidency. He'll want to be a two-term president.
Well, that has been our top story of the news all week. So here are 5 things that you may well have missed because they may have been slightly buried. The Canadian singer-songwriter Leonard Cohen passed away at the age of 82. He was best known, of course, for this song, Hallelujah, recorded and released back in 1984. A statement on his official Facebook page described him as one of music's most revered and prolific visionaries. Also this week, the Supreme Court told the NHS it should pay for a drug which helps prevent the spread of HIV. The health service said the cost, £400 per person per month, would prevent them offering help to patients with other diseases. Supporters say the antiretroviral called PrEP is a game changer.
Being part of the trial has allowed me to take control of my sexual health in a way that perhaps the pill did for women in the 70s. It's taken the fear away of HIV, which is, whilst doesn't have the stigma around it or indeed the effects around it, if well treated as it had perhaps 20 years ago, is nonetheless a barrier to having sex.
A tram crash in South London killed several people and left dozens injured after it derailed in rush hour. Investigators said the vehicle was travelling at higher than the permitted speed. The driver's been arrested and released on bail. And the earth moved for residents of one North Yorkshire town after a sinkhole emerged. 7 houses had to be evacuated in the town of Ripon after the 66-foot wide hole opened up. There were no injuries. This area is now prone to this type of activity, apparently. And now for our gaffe of the week, and it has to go to whoever apparently tried to hide a camera under a tray of sandwiches to spy on MPs. It was found under a chair as the snacks were provided to politicians in a private meeting during a fact-finding visit to Sports Direct. The firm headed by Mike Ashley said it had no idea about the camera.
A lady came in with some sandwiches, which was very kind. I saw her take too long to do it. She put it down and I saw her put a recording device on the floor. When she left the room, I went over to pick up the device and there it was, a camera and a recording device of the conversation that we were having privately.
It's a great story, this, isn't it?
Absolutely
Love it.
incredible.
And the fact that nobody at Sports Direct knows who did it. Well, the tea lady did it under orders, and somebody much further up the food chain, probably somebody like Mike Ashley, was behind
But
it.
he wasn't there.
No,
you know,
no.
they of course deny any knowledge of it.
But it gives the MPs yet another glimpse into how he treats people and runs that company. They said it's a Victorian warehouse. We know he was paying less than the minimum wage. There was terrible surveillance of the staff. They were appallingly disciplined. They could be out the door at the drop of a hat. Look, they've got to get taxi for Ashley and find out, make him answer, hold his feet to the fire.
I hope the sandwiches were nice.
But I just quite like the size of it. It was very 1970s James Bond,
Yeah, it
wasn't
was.
it? It was kind of
Austin
spying for
Powers.
juniors.
It's Austin Powers.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, it was really hilarious. No attempt
Well, don't
to-
forget, send
very
us your
discreet.
nominations for your gaffe of the week for next week using the hashtag WNR. Now, quick quiz for you both now. Can you tell me what's unusual about one man in China's hearing aid? They don't know. Do you know at home? We'll find out after the break. Welcome back to Week in Review with me, Jane Secker. I'm joined by Kevin Maguire, Associate Editor of the Daily Mirror, and Andrew Pearce, Consultant Editor of the Daily Mail. Now, before the break, we asked, can you tell us what's unusual about a man in China's hearing aid? You didn't know,
No.
did you? The answer is it's not on its head. It's on his head even. It's on his arm. This is patient, Mr. G. He lost his ear in a traffic accident, and doctors have used cartilage from his ribs to restructure it, so you see, not for the squeamish, and they've grafted it onto his arm, and they will soon graft it back onto the side of his head.
Ooh, marvellous.
It's obviously not going to impact on his hearing, but he said he found it inconvenient. Because of course you can't wear glasses or sunglasses if you don't have an ear. So yeah, it is a bit. Sorry, hope you're not having your tea at home.
I think wearing glasses are the least of your problems if you haven't got ears.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Does the sun shine much in Japan?
Quite sunny.
China.
China. Oh, yeah.
But it was just the exterior of his ear that was
The
taken
land
off.
of the
It
rising
didn't- it
sun.
hadn't
Oh, no,
affected
that's
his
next
hearing.
door.
No,
Right.
just keep quiet. Right?
Let's move on. Now, a statement this week on behalf of Prince Harry attacked media intrusion into his life and that of his new girlfriend, Meghan Markle. With more, here's our senior news correspondent, David Bowden.
With his brother settled down to family life, Harry is now the primary focus of the tabloid obsession with the love lives of the young royals, a role he's not happy with, but accepts as part of his privileged life. What he won't stand for is what he calls the wave of abuse and harassment aimed at his current girlfriend, the American actress Meghan Markle. According to an unprecedented statement from Kensington Palace, reporters and photographers have attempted to break into her home. The past week has seen a line crossed. Some of this has been very public. The smear on the front page of a national newspaper, the racial undertones of comment pieces, and the outright sexism and racism of social media trolls and web article comments. It goes on, it's not right that a few months into a relationship with him that Miss Markle should be subjected to such a storm. This is not a game. It's her life and his.
Unusual for the palace to release a statement of such length and in such detail.
It's never happened before. And,
about something so personal.
And the Mail today revealing that she's here, the actress, staying with him at Kensington Palace. So I suspect the statement was put up because she was on her way. he knows the game. He's one of the world's most eligible bachelors. He has an incredibly privileged lifestyle. There will always be interest
but her family,
in him.
And it's her family that's the point of this thing. That even that she knows the price of fame. She's an actress. She's got a big social media profile. But her mum, her ex-partners, her siblings are having the media camped outside their door. That's not right,
this is something to do with... Well, this is all going on in Canada. Don't think we can blame the British press for that.
No, but it's...
But it's always going to be an issue for William or for Harry, who is, as I say, part of the most famous family on the planet. There's always going to be an interest in who he goes out with, and she, more than anyone, knows the game too, because she's got such a high media profile.
But he makes the point, it's not a game when it intrudes into your life, and of course his mother died, and she did court publicity, but there was also a lot of publicity she didn't want, and she died because the driver was drunk and on drugs, but nevertheless, he will be haunted by that. And I understand that. And I think some of the stuff, particularly in the social media, has been horribly racist about his girlfriend, and there is a lot of sexism involved. But I also think, look, you're fifth in line to the throne. You're going to have to expect some scrutiny, and if you want it all to stop, well, disinherit yourself, take yourself out, give up the privileges of being a royal.
Right, well, let's talk about the papers. Let's move on to your paper stories of the week. Andrew, you're going first this week, and this is the NHS, a possible ban on sugary drinks in hospitals.
When I read this, I thought, well, why haven't they been banned already? Because there are cafes and bars in every NHS hospital. It's a revenue source for the cash-strapped NHS. What are these drinks doing on sale there anyway? It doesn't make any sense. I just thought, and they still aren't banning them. They're consulting on it. Why not just get rid of them? Have water, tea, coffee. Don't have things that are unhealthy. They wouldn't sell fags, would they?
No,
or alcohol?
Well, 1.3 million people employed by the NHS, 700,000 of them are overweight or obese. I had no idea that over half of the workforce.
But that's getting on for the population as a whole. In about 20 years, we've gone to 1 in 4 of the population being obese. That's you're so overweight.
Double that
to
within the
your
NHS,
life.
and you would think that those are the people who are meant to be setting a good example and talking to people about their health.
But you go past, there's a hospital near me, you walk past sometimes, and they're outside in their scrubs, smoking a fag and drinking a can of Coke.
Kevin, your choice now, and this is Operation Midland. Scotland Yard really come in for criticism over this.
This was the investigation into VIP sex abuse alleged. Judge-led inquiry, absolutely damning. 43 major mistakes, 5 in particular, including believing this guy, Nick, who now might be prosecuted for perverting the course of justice and making things up. I feel a bit, but if he's been a victim in the past, I feel a bit windy about that, but nevertheless. But you think Lord Bramall, Harvey Proctor, others, it's a problem that there are many people who are seriously sexually abused as children and they're not believed. And then you have an inquiry which is clearly being wrong. Because the problem hasn't gone away, and we know from the jailing of people like Stuart Hall, Max Clifford, what's come out about Jimmy Savile. Some high-profile figures. Cyril Smith used his fame when he was a politician to escape
but this report,
the law.
This report is a whitewash because only 90% of it is redacted. So we're only allowed to see 10% of it. No wonder people like Cliff Richard are saying they're going to sue the police.
Yeah. OK. Your choice now, Andrew. This week we found out that being a scout or a guide can be beneficial in later life.
Well, you can tell, obviously, I was a scout and a guide, not a guide, a cub and a scout, maybe Freudian slip.
I'm not saying, are you
but
sure?
I think we know why Kevin has all these problems, because he wasn't in the Cubs.
I was a guide as well.
Were you?
Yeah,
I was in the Boy Scouts, not the Boy Scouts, I was in the Boys Brigade. Must remember.
No, well, boys.
So did you...
That was very important.
Did you dib?
I did all of that, and I did lots of travelling, I did lots of camping, lots of building fires.
Tying knots.
Tying knots, good at knots.
Can you iron a tablecloth and things like that?
No, I don't do ironing. But they're saying that it leads to teamwork, resilience, better self-esteem.
And you're less likely in middle age, problem for Kevin coming up, to suffer mental illness problems. And
15% less likely.
The Cubs were great when I was in them, and it was team spirit it fostered. That was the great thing.
The problem with the Cubs and the Scouts now and the Guides now is lack of volunteers to help them. Our little ones got them in, but the big problem was they need more parents to help them. So
people don't have the time.
People don't have the time. Yeah, people don't have volunteer as much these days.
So it's great. You've agreed to go home and volunteer. Well done.
Indeed. Yeah, good for you as well as a grown-up. Makes you feel better about yourself.
Kevin, you've got time in your hands. You could volunteer.
Right, Kevin, now this is tears from
you.
some wine drinkers from you, especially if you like a drop of the French stuff.
Yeah, hail, frost, mildew really hit the French hard, and it could be 10% down. They are the biggest world exporters. I mean, for wines like Côte d'Aron are fantastic. You'll just carry on with your meths, I imagine. But nevertheless, it's going to push up prices. So you might think it's an excuse, but
it will be an excuse.
The ecosystem.
Any
excuse.
Nothing to do with Brexit.
Wine
Any excuse. They'll blame it on Brexit. They'll blame it on Brexit.
You'll blame it on Brexit, even when it's not Brexit.
Apparently, it hasn't hit the Champagne region, though. So
oh, you're all right then. There we are.
I don't like champagne, Kevin,
No.
as you know.
Really? You seem to be trying to wean yourself onto it.
It's not my
British wine's doing very well at the moment.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know somebody who's got a British vineyard.
Yeah.
What do you mean, we? You?
You do, Michael Ashcroft.
Yeah, but he's not a personal friend. We.
Well, I went to his 70th birthday party with 750 of his closest friends.
Thanks for taking us through your papers. We'll let you sort out your social calendar in a moment. What about your ups and downs? Andrew, we're starting with you this week. You're sending up this week Jill Gascoigne.
Well, her husband, Alfred Molina, the fantastic actor, has revealed that she's now in the last stages of Alzheimer's, and it was a very moving and powerful interview, and clearly he sees it coming to an end, and as a relief for her, because of the quality of life she has now is so limited.
And she made a name, of course, in The Gentle Touch,
she did.
Back in
She
the
did.
80s.
She was a huge star back in the 80s.
I remember in the Unedin line.
Yeah, she was in the Unedin line, and as my father died of Alzheimer's, and there are stages, and when you see that final stage, it is almost a relief.
But her husband said, he called it a cowardly disease, and said everybody can't face it as bravely as Terry Pratchett. It is just awful. It is just
and he's hoping that speaking out will lead to more funding and more research for it. So we're sending them our best wishes and sending her up. You're sending down this week Jeremy Corbyn. You don't normally need an excuse. What's your excuse
a very good poll's come out this week which shows more Labour voters actually prefer...
More older Labour
voters prefer Theresa May to Jeremy Corbyn. That's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, it's about 13% of elderly Tories don't like May. You always get these figures.
I can't
I'm not
ever
really sure
remember.
why.
I can't ever remember.
We know Corbyn's popularity is a lot of new voters.
Yeah.
So is it a surprise that a lot of older Labour voters don't necessarily
They just
like
know
him?
he's useless.
No, they don't.
They know he's useless.
They just get all your...
And they see Theresa May as a rather practical, sensible sort of gal.
Yeah, waiting for a little phone call from
She would definitely have been a girl guide.
Okay, so we're sending Jeremy Corbyn down. Kevin, your choices. You are sending up this week Andy Murray, number one in the world.
First ever male British tennis player, Scottish for those north of the border, to be number one. Fantastic. 2 Wimbledons, US Open, Olympics. It's brilliant. You used to always...
I've come round.
You've come round? Oh, that's nice.
He'll be pleased.
A lot of people have, actually.
Bandwagon jump, a bit of success off you go.
A lot of people have. Because there's never been a British woman number one, so this is historic.
And another person who's obviously very pleased is his mum, Judy. This was her tweet on the day.
That's
Isn't
really
that sweet? You've come a long way, babes.
I know. And his brother... Jamie is the number one in the doubles player.
Indeed.
So it's a happy family.
You used to always have a go at his mum.
All down to hard work, and perseverance. So well done him. We're sending him up, but you're sending down this week, and this is all of our favourite stories of the week. Toblerone.
That's right. It's more gap than ridge now. You're getting less. The US company has said they're doing it. Probably Brexit, isn't it? Prices
you don't know what these are called, do you? You called it a ridge. They're actually called Alps.
Alps. The old Swiss bit.
There's just not as many of them.
There aren't
this
many
company
Alps,
is a disgrace. Yeah. They're the ones who, when they took over Kraft, said they wouldn't close a factory in the West Country. First thing they did, they closed it. They've even interfered with Cadbury's cream eggs. They're an appalling company. We should never have sold it to a foreign company.
No. Does anyone buy Toblerone outside of an airport?
Well, no. It was always very exotic, sort of continental treat, wasn't it? It meant someone had a posh holiday if they got a Toblerone.
I've never even tried it.
Oh no!
Never lived.
I haven't lived.
Are you sticking with your galaxy?
I'm deprived.
You are deprived. Deprived upbringing. Right, we're sending Toblerones down. Thank you both very much. Well, thank you for joining us for our review of the week. We'll be back with much more next week. But for now, it's goodbye from them.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.